Okay guys, welcome back to another game, well not another game, another episode of the, what's it called, memory game. Today we are going to get started on trying to match our cards when we flip them over, and what else we're going to do. I think that's it. So this should be a fairly short episode. We just have to go into our script and make a couple of variables, some integers here and there, some strings, and then we will use some logic to determine if the first guess, or the first card that you flip over being your first guess, is the same as your second guess being the second card that you flip over. But before we do those, we have to go and assign a random card to the card that you flip over. So before we do all of that, let's go and jump into the game and create some of these variables. So here's our game. It's pretty much the same as the previous episode. I haven't touched it since then. So let's go ahead and create some of these variables. So we have quite a few to create here. First we need to have things like our first guess, our second guess. We need to have the index of these first and second guesses. We also need to keep track of the names of the guesses. And we also need to keep track of how many guesses you've had, how many correct guesses you've had, as well as how many guesses there are in the game. So if we have 8 cards in the game, obviously there'll only be 4 guesses. So let's go and do that. So let's first create booleans. So 2 booleans. The first one is going to be our first guess, and the second one is going to be our second guess. So that is going to keep track of if our first or second guess is correct. And if not, it's going to flip the cards over and then you have to start again. The next one, we are going to create an integer, and here we're going to need 3 different ones. The first one is going to be our guesses count. So that is going to keep track of how many guesses you've had. The next one is going to be our correct guesses count. So obviously how many correct guesses you've had. And the last one is going to be our game guesses. So how many the game needs. So like I said, if there's 8 cards, you'll need 4. If there's 10 cards, you'll need 5 to win the game in the shortest, assuming you get every single guess right. So the next ones we need to do is we need to keep track of our first guess index, and we also need to keep a reference to our second guess index. And then finally we need, what's the last one? We need the names of the cards. So we can go string first guess name, or let's say card name, and then we will do the same thing, but we will say second guess card name. Okay, so those are all of the variables that we need for the game, I think. So we'll keep those up there. If we need any later on, we'll go ahead and create them. But now what we want to do is we need to go and write the logic to determine if our cards are equal, if they're the correct guess, and we also need to assign which card goes to which card, I guess. So we made this method here. Whenever we click a card, we flip the card over and it reveals a picture. So that is called card flip. So that's what we need to do here. So we'll delete this. And in here we need to add in an if statement. So we can go and say if our first guess is not correct, do whatever in here, and else if our second guess is not correct, we will do whatever else is in here. So the first thing we want to do is, if our first guess is false, what we need to do first of all is we need to go and reset our first guess back to true. Otherwise, when you go ahead and flip over another card, this code in here will not get run, because obviously this will be false. So if If the first guess is false, then run whatever's in here. So reset it back to true, and then we need to set the index of our first guess to the what's called the name of the card. So if we go into, or if we play the game quick, I can show you. If you remember, if we play any level, we can click on a game board. You can see that the name of the card is actually a number, which will help us to use this number as an index. So we're going to use that index as the first guess index. So here we can say first guess index is going to be equal to, we need to pass this in because the name is obviously a string, so we'll say int dot pass, and then here we can say button, or rather we can say card, using our parameter here to access the name. So card dot name, just like that. Cool, so that should be fine. And then what else do we want to do? Then we need to, whenever we click on the button, we actually need to assign a picture to it so that it looks like it's flipped over and it reveals what's underneath it. So to do that, we can go and say, what can we say? Let's see, where's our list here? Okay, so here we'll say card buttons, and then we will use our first guess index, and we will say image. Have I used the wrong one here? Let's see, card button, what are we using? Maybe it needs to be card button lists. Card buttons list. Have I copied that wrong? List dot image, there we go, dot image dot sprite. So now we need to assign our image to the current image of the button. So sprite is going to be equal to what is going to be equal to, let's say, where do we get our pictures? Okay, card buttons. So let's try card buttons, and then we want to access the first guess index off of that. So does that work? Okay, so we'll see if that works. So now for the second guess, we want to do pretty much the exact same thing, but instead of the first guess, obviously we are going to change first to second. So second, if you can spell. So let's just copy second. We will place second there, second over there, and second over there. So that should be fine. So now let us jump into our game and see what happens. So whenever we press a button or a card now, we should be able to see. First of all, did I change this back to normal? Yes, I did. Okay, so this, because our game only has 8 pictures, we need to add a maximum card number of 8 so that we only have 8 cards. We will go ahead and change that in the next episode. I still haven't created those the pictures. So if I click on the first one, you can see now we get a bat as the first picture, and let's try and click on the third last one. We get a, what's that called, a wolf. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to go and figure out, do these pictures actually look like each other? So, and the good thing about this is you can't actually click on any other pictures to like flip them over to see what is behind them once you've revealed the first two guesses. So that's working nicely. So if we go back into, where is it, our game manager here, in here we can go and figure out what is if it's correct or not. So the first thing we need to do is we need to assign our, we need to assign the first guess. I can't remember what it's called. What is it? first guess card name and the second guess card name, so that we can use these to compare the names of them to see if they are equal. So here we can say first guess card name is going to be equal to, here we can say, what is it, what are we going to use, card buttons dot first guess index dot name, like that. I think that will work. That's fine. Then we want to do the same thing, so over here we can go and say second guess card name is equal to card buttons, obviously this is going to be our second guess index, and then on this we want to go and get the name of it, just like that. Cool. So now we've got those two, the names of each button or card that we flipped over. We can go and compare these two. So here we can add an if statement saying if the first card name is equal to the second card name. Let's just print out a message in the console saying cards match, just like that. But if they don't, we can go and say cards do not match. Okay, so we'll save that, jump back into the game quick, and now we should be able to play the game and see if we are getting any matching cards. So let's play the easy one. So let's pick the first one. We have a wolf, and the last one, so the cards do not match, and then we'll do that again. So we'll press the first one and the fourth one. So yeah, there we go, we got two matching cards and we got cards match. So that's working nicely. So the next thing that we need to do in the game is to once we've matched the cards up like this, once we have matched some cards, we want to go and get rid of them out of the scene and not reshuffle the cards, but just take the, like, so for example, if we, now that we've flipped these two over and they're wrong, we need to go and flip them back over and allow the player to go and play the game again. And then say, for example, if these two did match, we need to go and get rid of them out of the scene, so that whenever you get cards that match correctly, they get taken out of the scene, and obviously the pack of cards gets smaller and smaller and eventually you'll get to the end of the game. So I think for today, we'll leave this as it is. We will we'll end this video over here, and then I think we will probably finish the rest of this game in the next episode. So thanks for watching again. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, maybe even like or subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more games. More games are coming out soon. But yeah, that's it for today's episode. So thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.